We are an AIoT solution provider. We focus heavily on the software side, but help bring end-to-end solutions to life for enterprises across a number of different industries that are focused on better utilizing data from their physical operations.
Leverege started as just an idea between me and my co-founder, Steve. We saw an opportunity in a space that wasn't really owned by any other company and was emerging, called IoT.
We went from being in person to remote with the pandemic, like many companies, but unlike many companies, we saw how beneficial that can be. So we made the decision to stay remote even post-pandemic. So we've become a lot more global in our employee base.
Culture at Leverege has been something that we've put a ton of emphasis on since the very, very early days. And it's really been around this idea of amplifying human potential and creating an environment where people have the freedom and flexibility to innovate, to be creative, and to grow individually and professionally.
We've always wanted to have a company that was built on a foundation of trust and empowerment.
The leadership has always stated they lead with a trusting mentality. Transparency is another big part. We always generally try to keep everyone in sync on what's happening with the company.
We as a startup maybe have taken on challenges that some companies, larger companies, were unwilling to even take on. We learned and we grew, and I think Leverege culture really embodies eyes towards action and a willingness to grow and to take on the largest challenges.
I would describe my experience at Leverege as extremely enriching. I joined this company over 5 years ago from a big technology consulting company. Here, I feel like what I'm doing and my impact really matters. Being able to see the results of your work directly in the products that we build and the customers that we do work with has been really rewarding for me.
Working at Leverege, you're given an immense amount of responsibility. You need to learn quickly, but then you have a great team of people who just support you.
I very cheesily always say that my coworkers are the favorite part of my job and what I get to do. I think everyone here is incredibly caring, incredibly curious, hardworking.
I always have something to learn from people at Leverege. Be able to get their insights on something that they have expertise in, be able to bounce ideas off people that come from different backgrounds and experiences, I find to be incredibly valuable.
From my past corporate experience, I've seen what not to do. However, here at Leverege, I've seen what a high-performing team looks like.
I think the coolest thing about working at Leverege is building a product with a bunch of really talented and inspiring and smart people.
I think the biggest motivator for someone that wants to work at Leverege is to be able to make an impact. I wear a bunch of different hats. At a company of our size currently, you do a lot more than just check the boxes and check on people's status.
I've really got to hopscotch around, really go outside the bounds of what's considered a typical operations role.
You can come in as one thing, we have a specific need, but then find out that you're really good at something else you didn't even realize you were really good at. And you end up sort of growing an entire path within the organization and maybe even a sub-organization.
Leverege really promotes a very autonomous environment. You do your thing, but you do it well.
Rather than being a small cog in a massive machine, if you're 1 out of 10 people, you're a 10th of the entire workforce for that company. So what you do really matters.
As a remote-first company, we get a lot of the flexibility of working at home, which has a ton of advantages, but you always still kind of miss that in-person connection. And so every year we do this annual meetup, we get to all see each other in person.
This is the one time a year where we get to actually see people's faces outside of a screen.
The way that we're working is that we are connecting a lot of the physical world to the digital, and a lot of the physical world is currently unconnected. And so when we talk about improving physical operations for enterprises, I think the opportunity is really huge here. I can only see us growing more and more.
If you look at how big and how fast the AI space is growing, how mature IoT has now become, if you put those two together and you think about how the physical world, in order for us to collect data and information, have access to that information, you need IoT. Then once you have this new data, you have the power of AI to analyze it, run models against it, being able to be part of a company that is focused on enabling that at such a large scale for organizations all over the world. If you think about the potential there, I think it's just endless. And that's one of the most exciting things about being part of Leverege.